Just a quick thing to say before this video starts. All of the footage used was taken from our Zelda server. It's been up for around a week now, and everyone is welcome to join in, whether you're a fan of just Breath of the Wild or other titles. Of course, people who don't have interests in Zelda games are also welcome. The server address will be down below in the description, and we hope to see you there. It's been a while since we released the Minecraft server for you guys to play on, and since it's catered towards Zelda fans, we implemented a few structures into it so it gives players much more of a unique experience. All of the stuff originally added referenced Nintendo's recent Zelda game, Breath of the Wild. Fast forward to today, and not only are there more structures from that same game, but people have begun to make some from other games such as Skyward Sword and Ocarina of Time. Only a small portion of these structures are finished, however, I wanted to take the next bit of time to look at the community's current progress. This video will be using the Silders Shaders mod if anyone wants to use it for themselves. Of course, if you don't want to, they aren't needed. Now, why make a server centered around Breath of the Wild if you aren't going to include its first location? The original idea was to have the spawn be the Shrine of Resurrection, but I thought, why not make the whole spawn be the Gray Plateau? This was made possible because of two individuals. The original map was created by user Kiptrix, and all the modifications were done by my Discord moderator Espen. This is a full recreation of the plateau that appears in the beginning of Breath of the Wild, down to the smaller details like the shot of the sword in the pedestal, a clear reference to the Master Sword. For the most part, we tried to stay as close to the source material as possible when making modifications. This wasn't supposed to be the Great Plateau from long ago, but how we see it in Breath of the Wild. A place left in ruins after the events of the Great Calamity, though some changes were made for the sake of convenience. In the game, there is a visible entrance to the plateau as seen from the bottom, but sometime after Link was put into the shrine, debris blocked the passageway and it filled up with water. Since this was a server and the Great Plateau was only the spawn point, it made sense to restore the staircase to its original design, at least the way we envisioned it. And just looking at the opening shot you get from the game shows how just because it's a recreation, it doesn't have the same impact as the game. Render chunks are set at only 10 for the sake of making the shaders run smoothly. It does still look gorgeous though. There's the small campsite where the old man would be, as well as a command that gives the person free apples. Only this time it's far less sketchy. In the background, you can get a brief glimpse of the Temple of Time, very similar to the game in question. The ruined buildings surrounding the Temple of Time have also been recreated in this map, which, as you may have previously heard, could be the remnants of the castle town in Ocarina of Time. This structure stays true to the source material, which is seen from the massive chunk of wall missing close to the ladder, as well as the roof only being partially intact. Just like the game, there's a small cabin to the far west of the plateau, as well as the Eastern Abbey. This is where the player first comes into contact with the decayed guardians, though as expected the area is void of them in the Minecraft version. This area is worth a mention as it houses one of the 4 shrines. The designs of these in the world are very simple, though given the palette of blocks to use, it's very difficult to get the colors right. Similar to the game, shrines are implemented into the server as the many different warps people can use, and the interiors of the bomb, Stasis, Cryonis, and Magnesis ones have been remade in the server. This is purely for aesthetic purposes, so some of them are not completable. As expected, the Sheikah Towers are also present within this world and act in a similar way to shrines. Each one has a beacon within it as their purpose was to act as landmarks in the original game. Currently, there are 3 different towers. The one at the Great Plateau, and both the Lake and Pharaon Towers, which are placed just outside the corners of spawn protection, though more will most likely be added to help spread out the server. To the south of the plateau, you can find the entrance to Mount Heylia. Nothing much can be said about it as there isn't much use of it in the game. It does appear to be the least accurate in terms of recreation, though some things to note are the passageways behind the waterfall and peak of the mountain. The main water source does flow down the mountain though, which is a very nice touch. That was a very brief look at everything that was built before the server launched. Though, as said before, there are plenty of other structures that both the viewers and moderators have partook in. These aren't nearly as complete as the plateau, however many of them are worth highlighting. Very close to the Pharaon Tower is a location viewers dubbed as New Hyrule. If the Great Plateau was the birthplace of the kingdom, this would be the equivalent of that. Ever since server hosts were upgraded, people have spread out on the map, now making this place mostly abandoned. There aren't many notable structures in the underground portion, as most of it is more so references, such as Champion's Lane and Wind Waker Way, which is a good thing in our case, as the use of shaders makes everything below ground extremely dark. There is an iron golem named Johnny, for some unexplained reason. I guess his job is pretty boring now that almost no one lives here, huh? But the real interesting stuff is on the surface. The entrance to the underground portion should look familiar to anyone who has played Skyward Sword. It's one of the goddess statues from that game, and the same one from Breath of the Wild's Temple of Time. Zooming out on the whole area reveals a bigger one engraved into the ground with less expensive materials. If you continue forward, you will find the Sealed Temple. This appears within The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, and plays a prominent role in the story. This recreation has everything you see from the chamber, including the Gate of Time, the Life Tree, and the back room where Zelda is sealed in the crystal. Above New Hyrule, there is what appears to be a work in progress of Skyloft. Not gonna lie, I couldn't recognize it until later on in the day when more was added to it. You can clearly see what this part is supposed to be. This is a part of the pathway to the Knight's Academy. You can even see the parts involved in the tutorial with Instructor Owlin. There's also what I assume is the main gate to the Academy along with the pathway up to the giant goddess statue. The buildings themselves don't have proper interiors. However, since the scale of buildings in the older games aren't accurate to the inside, this is unavoidable. The good news is that, like I said, this is a work in progress. So hopefully, one day we can show off more to this build. One of my favorites though is right behind the Sealed Temple. This build in particular should look very familiar. If the exterior doesn't make it obvious enough, here's a quick shot of the inside. Yep, it's the house that Link can buy within Hateno Village. Luckily, since all of Breath of the Wild's buildings are to proper scale, it means that recreations like this are possible. They included everything, even the stables located to the right side of the building. It has quite a cozy feeling to it, and has all the furniture you would find in the original. There's the table, display frames for your gear, and the bed on the second floor. All we need to do now is change this picture to the one in the Champion's Ballad. Link's house isn't the only Breath of the Wild structure recreated in this world. Parts of Gerudo Town and Zoras Domain make an appearance. Both are much smaller than their counterparts in the Zelda game, but both keep the iconic parts of each location. The Minecraft build features the palace from the settlement, as well as a road leading to the area. This road goes all the way through the desert, which must have taken a lot of patience to make. I do hope that this location in particular can be built upon more, as it feels quite lacking. Oh, and there's also this structure which is supposedly the mirror chamber from Twilight Princess. Not sure how accurate it is since I haven't played the game in a long time. It does look really cool though, but the one I really like is the adaptation of Zoras Domain. It's not nearly as big, but the simplicity in its design is quite charming. The best part about it is definitely King Dorephan's room. Not because of its interior, but due to the detail in the roof. For some reason, a viewer added a police station to the domain. I'm not sure where this fits in the Zelda timeline. However, behind the shrine is a secret. Yes, someone actually remade the domain found in Ocarina of Time, and given the limited amount of blocks they could use, I for one think it turned out very good. There's the passageway leading to the Zora King's chamber, as well as the path to the left, taking the player to the huge waterfall. Even the shop is located here, where we learn about the lore of the server. Apparently, all the Zoras are dead for some reason? I don't know, I'm the server owner and even I'm confused. Lurelin Village. A place where you can kick back and relax. From what I know, the development for this place has only just started on the server, but overall, it's been very promising. Because of how unique the houses are in the original game, it's a very Minecraft-friendly build. In my opinion, this is one that deserves a recreation, so I hope the creators continue to work on it as it shows a lot of potential. And of course, who can forget Kakariko Village? Well, these people couldn't, as they decided to remake Impa's house. First of all, their location for this build was perfect, since it's hidden by the mountains surrounding the land. As expected, the house has 2 floors, and for some reason, these people were crazy enough to copy all of Paya's diary and put it in her room. Now that's some dedication. But the best part doesn't come from this. It's what happens when you enter the house. Because when doing so, a familiar tune will play. Another structure made was the Master Sword pedestal from A Link Between Worlds. Given that it's one of my favorites in the series, this is very much appreciated. The best part of this build is definitely the walls. They did a great job with nailing the size and style of this build. I'm not too sure about the pedestal though. I feel it could be worked on. The last one is more of a sneak peek, and it's the only build in the Nether. This is a brief look at a dungeon entrance. I wonder what it could be. I guess you'll all just have to wait and see. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was fun to go around and see what the community was building. If I were to suggest one build for people to work on, it would be an obvious choice. I want to see Rito Village. And not just parts of Rito Village, I mean the entire settlement. I absolutely adore that location, and hopefully next time I'll be able to show it off to you guys. Special thanks to everyone who participated in these builds, and once again, if you want to join in on the server, the address will be in the description below. Special thanks to all my patrons, you are all breathtaking. If you too want to support the channel, feel free to check out my Patreon where you can donate $1 a month. But never feel obligated to do so. I've been Nintendo Black Crisis, and I will see you all next time.